There was a time a few years ago where I got a real big bump in my income and I felt on top of the world. I've never seen that much money in my bank account in my entire life. But somehow, I noticed that my savings, my net worth, it wasn't really growing by that much. And it turns out that I was falling for the very same traps that I'm sure a lot of you guys experience as well. So in today's video, I'll be talking about why this happens and what you can do about it. Let's get started. So the first obvious thing that happened to me was that I fell for lifestyle inflation. This one was extremely clear. Look, I went from a broke uni kid to earning 4,000 ringgit a month to earning between 6 to 7,000 ringgit every single month. And I was a bit, I guess the word for it is a bit like jakun, right? I never had this much money back in my uni days and I thought I can't live the same lifestyle anymore. I had to splurge a bit more to reflect my newer, higher income. For those of you guys who don't know, this is pretty much what lifestyle inflation is all about. It basically means people who earn more money, so they see their salaries go up over the years, but they also decide to upgrade their lifestyle every time their salary goes up, to the point where they're barely saving any extra money compared to before. So I really felt the impact of this and I really understood how it can very quickly snowball. So first it started with, going on nice dinners once in a while, right? I thought, it's just a treat for myself. I would go somewhere where, the bill might cost 50 to 100 ringgit per person. That was a one-off to me and I thought, it's fine. Once in a while, upgrade my lifestyle, right? Then it became a bit more normal. Instead of once in a while, it became a more recurring thing where I spent, the same amount of money on dinner and I thought that it's okay, I can afford it, right? But the thing is, once I spent 50, 100 ringgit for dinner, then lunch being at 20 ringgit, it seemed okay, right? I guess in proportion, it didn't seem that much because it's just half of what I spent for dinners. And that is where the problem really started to kick in. Because then I got used to the nicer things in life. I ate at nicer restaurants when I'm here. So whenever I go on holidays, I would think maybe I should stay at a nicer place. And then to top all of this off, I guess the biggest sign of my lifestyle inflation was that when I decided to buy my first car, I chose a Proton X50 with premium specs. And I think back then this was around 94,000 ringgit. So it's not that I couldn't afford it. I guess based on my calculations, based on my cash flow, all of those stuff, I could afford that car. It's just that when I compare the commitment that I was getting into compared to my salary, today, I would not make that same decision. Now, I'm not saying that lifestyle inflation is bad. I think lifestyle inflation is normal. As we earn more money, it's normal that we want to upgrade our lifestyles, right? I think that everyone should do it. It's not that when you're earning 3,000 a month, you should live exactly the same when you're earning 20,000 ringgit a month. It just doesn't make sense. The only thing to be careful of is not to overdo it. So you need to make sure that when your salary goes up, your savings and investments go up as well. By the way, if any of you guys want to start your investing journey, maybe you want to invest in Malaysian stocks or US stocks, or maybe even both, then check out Mumu. They're a really popular broker right here in Malaysia today. And if you guys want to sign up, you can use the link in the description of this video. I'll leave it right there. Anyway, one of the reasons that I felt like I got into this lifestyle inflation trap was that back then, I didn't really have a very proper financial system that would scale together with my income. So a lot of people, they have this mindset of spend first, save later, which was pretty much what I had back then as well. This basically means that when I received my salary, I would spend everything first. I would pay my bills, I would buy the things I wanted, and at the end of the month, whatever is left over, okay, that goes to my savings. Well, of course, at the end of the month, there is barely anything left for me to save. And that's why I now think that saving a percentage of your income is the best way to do this. Whether it's 10%, 20%, whatever that number is, whatever is comfortable for you, automate this, move it to your savings account, move it to a different investment account, and get that sorted out of the way as soon as you receive your salary. So the idea here is to pay yourself first and then pay everything else later on. This is a very clear financial system that you can put into place today. So I started doing this as well. Good thing is I had ASB financing up and running already back then, so I did at least have that forced saving. But then when I realized this, I also started setting up my automatic investments via Stashaway. So I would just have money deducted from my bank account every single week. And these days, I've also gotten a lot better at it. So I don't only have my investments set up automatically, I also have automatic transfers to different savings accounts for example, my sinking fund, where I'm trying to save up money for a future house purchase. All these things are automated as well at the start of every month. Another thing that I'm doing right now, this is more because I'm self-employed and my income is a bit unstable, but whenever I receive a big amount of cash, you guys can do this too. Let's say when you receive your annual bonus, I would pre-allocate it towards my commitments for the rest of the year. So an example, let's say I know that my rental right now is 2,000 ringgit a month. So if I were to receive a large amount of cash, let's say I just completed a deal with a big client, I will decide to allocate my money for rental for the entire year. So 2,000 ringgit per month, 12 months, that's 24,000 ringgit. I would set it aside immediately so that I know that my rental for this year is pretty much sorted. And how I do this is, I think digital banks are really good because they have all of these savings pockets where you can create different pockets for different things. I have a lot of those. And at least when we keep our money there, it'll also be earning us some interest while it's just sitting there waiting to be transferred to, sadly, our landlord. So I have all of these systems in place right now where it's not just my investments, it's also my savings for the future, it's also any large commitments I have. I have all of these things sorted up front, and then the rest of my money, I can spend it however I like. I think this is a better way for me as well. It's a better approach because then at least when I spend, it's more guilt-free, right? I know that all the things I'm supposed to do, it's already done. If I come to a situation where I realize, oh no, I'm running a bit low on cash, then too bad. I'll just have to make do. I just have to get into survival mode. It's a lesson for next time, I guess. Another very common reason that people feel broke despite having a higher income is that they're over enjoying the now. And I see this a lot. This is kind of related to lifestyle inflation, except for this one, people are consciously doing it. They know what they're doing and they still decide to do it. So I'll give you guys an example of this. I had this as well before. I would say things like, I worked so hard this year. I slaved away at my corporate job. I deserve to go on that very nice holiday. And maybe I did. It's just, maybe just don't spend that much money. Just spoke to someone on a podcast that I'm doing right now with Shock, which is a brand under Astro. And I was speaking to this girl. And she enjoyed going on holidays a bit too much. So every time her income went up, every time she got a salary bump, she would just decide to go on more holidays. And the reason was, it's better for her to enjoy herself now instead of thinking about retirement because it's still so far away. And I do agree to an extent because, I acknowledge that there are certain things, there are certain holidays that we would enjoy more now in our 20s compared to when we're in our 50s. But still, again, we just have to make sure that we don't overdo it. So her realization came when earlier this year, her car broke down, she needed to pay for repairs, and she just didn't have an emergency fund set up because she was spending all her money on holidays. She was focusing a bit too much on enjoying the now. That's a problem when you overdo it. I don't even want to talk about investing for the future. That will be another problem that she'll have to sort of catch up with. But not even having enough money for your emergency funds, I think that becomes a problem. And then there's peer pressure and social media comparisons, and these days it's just extremely hard. So back then, it was already hard, right? For those of you guys who are millennials like me, you would know. Back then, we would just see, Instagram posts of our friends, people we follow, we see them go on nice holidays, we get jealous and maybe we want it as well. But these days, because of TikTok making the For You page and basically every social media platform out there copying it, we not only see posts from our followers, we also see posts from random famous people going on their nice holidays, buying their nice expensive luxury item or getting the new iPhone every single year, and the FOMO really starts to kick in. They do all these things, and sometimes I wonder, right? Like if I see some travel influencer going to a nice place and I want to go there as well, sometimes I wonder whether I actually want to go there or do I only want to go there because they went there and then all of my friends are going there as well. I always think about this, and to this day, sometimes I still don't know. One thing that I do is that these days, when I stumble upon the FIRE subreddit, which is the Financial Independence Retire Early subreddit, I always see posts from people in their 30s in the US, and their net worth is like, oh, I'm 38 years old, I have a net worth of $3 million, what should I do? And then I get really jealous. I get more jealous compared to seeing people go on holidays. I get real FOMO, but at least this time the FOMO is good. So seeing this, it really inspires me. It really makes me want to, push harder for my retirement savings. And then the final reason that, sort of covers all of this, explains the lifestyle inflation, explains the over-enjoying now, for me at least, is that I realized I didn't really have very clear financial goals in place. I know a lot of people think along these lines. If I don't know what I'm saving money for, if I don't know why I'm investing my money, then I may as well just spend it, right? At least I know why I'm buying something. So back then, I did have financial goals at least, so I at least had that covered, but it was extremely vague. In my mind, when I just started out working, the only goal that I had was to hit 1 million ringgit in net worth. That's it. I wanted to hit 1 million ringgit, nothing else. The thing is, when that is my only goal, when it's that vague, then saving an extra 1,000 ringgit it wouldn't really make a difference, right? If I had 1,000 ringgit in my annual bonus, I can decide to save it, but 1,000 ringgit is just, a drop in the ocean compared to 1 million. I need to do that 1,000 times to hit a million. Or then I guess I can just spend it. And every time I would just decide to spend it because again, I didn't have very clear financial goals. So then I started to make some proper goals. I started to go small. So for example, I first started out having a 10,000 ringgit net worth goal in mind, and then it went to 50,000 ringgit, which would cover my emergency funds, and then it went to 100,000 ringgit. So these things then are a lot more achievable, right? If my goal was 10,000 ringgit in savings and I had 1,000 ringgit in my bonus right now, putting this into my savings would contribute 10% of my target compared to 0.00001% of whatever it is back then. And I think this is really important. I'm sure you guys can find a reason to save up some money. I mean, who wouldn't want to have savings, right? It gives you peace of mind. It can be saving up for an emergency fund. That can be a goal. It can be saving up to buy a house like me, or it can be saving up to prepare to get married, right? These are all financial goals that you can set in place so that you can work towards it and try and achieve it. Even if you don't have any of these events happening to you, you don't want to buy a house, you don't want to buy a car, you don't even have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, you can always think of things like, I want to be financially free. I want to be able to quit my job if I wanted to in 5 years' time. These are all things that you can think of as well. So these days, I have grown by quite a bit. I have, surpassed the 6-figure mark in terms of net worth, but I still have a lot of these smaller goals. I still have goals like, for example, this year, I want to invest a certain amount of money into stocks. So, this is one of my goals. I also have a goal where, I'm trying to save up enough money, 50% actually, of the value of a house that I want to stay in. So if the house is 1.5 million ringgit, I want to save up 750,000 ringgit. I'm contributing to that every single month, and that is a goal that I have as well. And I also have my smaller net worth goals. So I do want to hit, let's say, 5 million, but I need to set, 250K, 500K, 1 million, and so on and so forth. These are all still things that I practice today. And speaking of net worth, that is something that you should absolutely do. So back then, I used to talk a lot about it, but I was so lazy to do it because I had my money in so many different places. I had multiple bank accounts. I had many investing apps that I was trying out. So I was so lazy to, pull all of these figures together and put it into an Excel. But last year, I decided to get a financial planner, and that kind of forced me to do this. And I think it's really, really good because once you start tracking your net worth, it not only helps you get a feel of whether you're hitting your goals or not, but it will also motivate you if you're doing well. So when I started tracking my net worth, I was like, ooh, I have that much money. It's a really good thing for you to start doing, and it's the basis of how you want to set your goals anyway. The truth is, I really feel that a lot of Malaysians are starting to see or starting to experience a higher and higher income. I mean, if you look at places like Reddit or Malaysian Pay Gap, you guys will see that a lot of Malaysians are actually balling. Their incomes are very high, above 5 figures, which is extremely good. But managing this high income will be the key. So things that you gotta do is, you gotta automate your savings and investments, make sure you pay yourself first. You can have some nice little, life rewards. You can upgrade your lifestyle a bit. Just make sure you cap it, you keep it under control. And then finally, you need to clearly define your short-term and long-term financial goals as well. If you guys can do this, then I'm pretty sure that in 6-12 months time, you won't feel that broke anymore. So thanks for watching this video to the end, guys. If you guys want to sign up for Moo, then click in the description below. You will help me achieve my financial goals. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.